Good morning to you. We live in a zoo. What a crazy world, huh? Just send out invites real quick. If you know anybody who would enjoy sitting down for a brief meditation and practicing a mudra this week, then please share the live with them as well. Make sure I didn't. There we go. Let me do sound check really quick here to make sure I have sound on the other channel. Enjoy sitting down for. Yep, there we are. Okay. Let's make sure everything is set up, properly framed, and all of that goodness. The tea is so far away. Okay, for those of you new here, hello, my name is Reverend Deborah. I am a movement facilitator, movement in breath, body, and being, and the owner of Move with Change. At Move with Change, we are building an online community called Kaya Sangha, where we are cultivating a safe space to show up exactly as you are in your authenticity. Because as most of us know, when we're doing this work of coming home to ourselves, when we're on this path of self-exploration, of self-care, of just self-reflection, even, it can get really messy. And it's in those times that it's the most important that we have a space to show up when we're uncertain, when we're feeling messy, when we're feeling not put together. So this is our Bhakti Bites class. It's a free class that I do live. We practice a mindfulness tool and sit in meditation with that mindfulness tool. It is Bhakti means devotion in Sanskrit. So devotion to what? Devotion to self-care, because oftentimes it's the first thing to drop off our to-do list. It's the last thing on our list throughout the day. And the reality is that it can be very easy to slip in self-care if we do it in these little bite-sized pieces. So welcome to Bhakti Bites. This week we are doing the Dhyana Mudra. Hey, Gigi, good morning. Hi, Nikki. We are doing the Dhyana Mudra, and the meditation with this is really, really simple. The Dhyana Mudra is the mudra of meditation. It is done like so by, you can choose whichever feels most comfortable to you, placing your right hand in your left or your left hand in your right. It is traditional to do this with the right hand on top. So the left hand underneath, the right hand on top. And then you bring your thumbs together to just barely touch, not quite like a peak, but more closer to the tips of your thumbs. So this creates this hollow space, and this hollow space is supposed to represent that empty space of contemplation, or not of contemplation, but of meditation, the beyond contemplation, but the stillness, the space of stillness, that our capacity for silence. So oftentimes, most of the time in meditation, we have a focal point that we bring our attention back to over and over again. It's one of my favorite ways to exercise that muscle of coming back to a place of inner stillness. This mudra is intended to work on the energy system, on the body, and on the mind in such a way that it's suggested that we meditate with this mudra without any striving, without any attachment, without any focal point, to simply release all attempt to control or to concentrate the mind. This mudra does not have any contradictions, so feel free to use it if it feels comfortable and available to you. If it doesn't, that said, if it does not feel comfortable or available to you, stop doing the mudra. Note that mudras work on the energy body, and all have different what's the word? Results, right, from using them. That said, we are all unique, and where you are at on your journey, certain mudras may feel uncomfortable or may feel imbalancing and may not feel for you. So feel like they are for you. So go ahead and let those go if they're not for you. If you're in the middle of this meditation and you find that this mudra feels really uncomfortable or is causing you really uncomfortable sensations, I invite you to simply rest, drop the mudra and rest your hands in your lap, either palms up if you'd like to receive, or palms down to ground. If you're feeling imbalanced in the middle of doing this mudra, I would suggest probably grounding out. So stopping the mudra and placing your hands palms down in your lap and just sit with whatever is happening within, allowing it to dissipate on its own. Again, without striving, without attachment, without pushing something away, without pulling it towards us. This meditation is going to be that, I guess, the classic concept of meditation of just don't do anything. And when you find yourself doing something, again, simply release. So, my last suggestion would be, if you find yourself struggling to do that, to simply release, which is sometimes difficult for us, especially if we're not used to letting go of thoughts and attachments and striving. It's okay to rest your awareness on your breath, to simply rest your awareness on the rise and fall of your chest or the sound of your breath. It's okay to bring your attention to a focal point, especially if you're feeling very scattered or very pulled away by distractions. Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Nikki. Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for joining. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and slip into meditation. Remember, these are quick meditations. This is like, I don't think we probably won't even go for 10 minutes unless I get really lost in it, especially this one. It is suggested that if you'd like to reap the benefit, the full benefit from this mudra, it's suggested that you do this mudra for 20 minutes a day. And it assists in not only helping us find that inner place of stillness, but it also assists in improving diaphragmatic breathing, improving our digestion, assists us in, what's the word I'm looking for? Assimilating nutrients through our digestion, and just simply cultivates what we might call our original nature, right? By bringing us into that place of stillness. Rocky, one of the 7 sins is to do nothing. Is it the hardest one? I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't say so personally. I don't think doing nothing is yeah. I'm not I'd rather do nothing kind of person, I guess. But we all have our struggles. We all have our lessons to learn. We all have our paths to walk. And in our unique journey, there are unique gifts for us. So if you are struggling with the do nothing piece, and it is, again, simply discern what is for you and what is not. This mudra and this meditation is for you. I invite you to stay. I invite you to sit with us. If this mudra and this meditation and this practice is not, then I encourage you to find practices that are. For whatever means, for whatever needs work for you, right? If you're seeking a better relationship with yourself, find those tools. If you're seeking to sin less, there are tools for that too, right? So find what works for you. For those of you who would like to join me for a mudra and meditation, please find yourself a comfortable, ideally with this mudra, we are sitting down because it is the practice of releasing all striving and attachment. If you are walking or standing somewhere, it's okay to go ahead and use this mudra too. But again, the ideal position would be seated upright. Lying down also, you can do this as well, but the ideal is to be seated upright. Once you find yourself a comfortable position, go ahead and gently close your eyes. And we'll begin with 3 deep breaths to fully arrive for our practice. Actually, we're going to go ahead one last time before we close our eyes. This is the mudra for the week, the Dhyana mudra. is to place your right hand or into your left or your left hand into your right. Go ahead and choose which one works for you. And then you bring the tips, not the pads, but more the tips of the thumbs together. Now, remember that when we make connections like this in mudras, we say it's no more than the weight of a nickel, or like you are gently holding a piece of paper, a small piece of paper here. So I think a really powerful part of this practice is that in our nothing, in our not doing, we still are in a place of holding, in a state of holding, by maintaining this open space here. And I think, and in that way, we invite stillness by being that stillness. So go ahead and take your mudra. This is your Dhyana mudra. Place the mudra. The mudra is just resting in your lap. No need to hold it anywhere. Just rest it where it's comfortable. If you are seated with your legs like out in front of you, like in a chair, you can also put a sweater or a towel or something on this side of your mudra so that it doesn't roll away. Otherwise, when you are ready, go ahead and close your eyes, and we will take those 3 deep breaths. Begin by inhaling through the nose, pulling the breath into the lungs and all the way into the belly. And then side out. Inhale again, lifting the heart and elongating the spine. And let it go. Inhale once more, expanding the rib cage in all directions, front, sides, and back. And release. Go ahead and seal the lips. And for just a moment, we will follow the breath, following the inhale all the way to the top, following the exhale all the way to the bottom, allowing the breath to anchor us into the moment, allowing the breath to relax our body, relax our mind, release attachment, release striving, release distraction. Following the inhale all the way to the top, following the exhale all the way to the bottom. We often misconceive ourselves as human doings, thinking that we need to constantly be doing, and misperceiving some of the things that happen by way of being as things that we are doing. The breath is not a conscious act. It happens by way of being. And noticing that difference allows us to find that inner space of stillness when we recognize that simply being in a state of being is the practice of not doing, of non-doing. Take a few more breaths following the inhale all the way to the top and the exhale to the bottom. And when you are ready to release the breath, take that last inhale all the way to the top, hold briefly, and slowly exhale all the way to the bottom. When you get to the bottom, imagine that you are releasing the breath. Release attachment, release focus. Again, if this is uncomfortable or feels like uncertain territory for you, just set the intention. I release the breath and see what happens. See how this space feels. You may find yourself thinking again and simply say, I release. I release these thoughts. I release this breath. I release this distraction. Whenever things start to attach or pull you away or disrupt this space, you can simply say to yourself, I release, and return to this space of stillness, of curiosity, of willingness. I invite you to be gentle with yourself in this space. Sometimes frustration can arise when we feel like we can't get it or aren't doing it right. I invite you to release that as well. The intention here in this practice is to allow the mudra to do its work on us without the need for us to do anything else, but to simply be. And yes, being means the breath happens. Being means the gut rolls. Being means being human. Distractions are going to arise, thoughts, sensations, triggers, agitations, questions. We are busy, busy doers. And that is why we practice mindfulness. Returning daily to our practice so that we may cultivate this inner sanctuary, this inner place of being. Meditation is not about perfection. It is about practice. Practice makes progress. And meditation is a personal practice. The more you sit with it, the more it will resonate within you. You may notice that in this practice, the breath becomes very small and quiet. It's okay to allow the breath to be whatever it is. Again, this is the practice of being rather than doing, being rather than striving. Non-attachment versus attachment to some preconceived notion, some expectation, some judgment about how we should or should not be doing. There is no doing. Simply being. Being with the mudra, being with the breath, being with the distractions. I encourage you to stay with this practice as long as you would like. The longer you sit with it, the more it resonates within you. And it can be a really soothing, centering, grounding practice. When you feel complete, I invite you to release the mudra and bring your hands either to prayer at your heart or simply lay one over the other in gratitude for today's practice. And gratitude for the opportunity to simply be, even if it's only for a few minutes. To simply be present with yourself, with your reality, with the distractions inside and out, without needing to judge them or create a battle within. Offer yourself a little gratitude for taking the time for practice today. You are absolutely worth it. And I'm so proud of you for taking your self-care, dose of self-care this morning. Thank you so much for joining me as well. When you feel complete, I invite you to give yourself some wiggles as you come out of meditation. You can rub your hands together and place them over your eyes. I like to slowly open my eyes behind my hands. It assists in the transition of light. Thank you, Ryan. As far as mudras go, it is one of my favorites, because I find that it really quickly, when we give ourselves that grace to recognize that distractions are going to happen, right? Breath is going to happen. Thoughts are going to happen. Thoughts are as natural as your breath. The breath expands the rib cage and lifts the heart and brings oxygen to the capillaries, right? There's a purpose and a place for each inhale and each exhale. The patterns of thought, just like the learned rhythm of our breath and of our heart, patterns of thought are a learned rhythm that we develop over time. Just as we can change the pattern of breath and heartbeat, we can change the pattern of thought. And when we take time to change the pattern of thought or the pattern of heartbeat and breath, we bring ourselves to a deeper place of knowing, to a more authentic relationship with ourselves. When we recognize that the body is alive on its own. I know someone in the very beginning here said, we can't do nothing. It's impossible to do nothing. You're constantly breathing or blinking or something. Yes, the body is alive and is existing without me having to make it be alive in every moment. What a gift. But that is not me doing. I am not making the body breathe. I am not making the body my heartbeat, right? I don't cause these things to happen. And that is an important differentiation between action, between doing, between choosing to respond to the universe or to interact with the universe versus a state of being present with life, with the universe, with yourself, and with the natural processes that are happening inside as well as outside. I think that misconception of, oh, we're always doing, it's impossible to be silent because we're always doing, we're always active, we're always, something's making noise. Yes, exactly. That's life. And we are not separate from it. So those thoughts and sensations and sounds are going to arise. You're going to find yourself in meditation and your belly is going to decide to gurgle because it's digesting and it doesn't care about your meditation. And in the same regard, you can acknowledge your gut in the same way that your gut acknowledges your meditation. I don't need to have a conversation with my gut about the meditation. My gut doesn't need to have a conversation with me about the meditation. We can exist in tandem. We can exist in parallel. Hi, dog. Hey, Divya. Welcome, welcome. Hi. What do you need? What? Lay down, please. Don't try to get on me. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Let me. Absolutely, Crystal. And you know what? Thank you so much for the statement. Thank you, Divya. Divya, thank you so much for saying it, because it is one of those things that I think turns people away from meditation and gets people feeling like they're not meditating right, or makes and have and causes a bit of confusion, around meditation, where we think again that like we're not doing it right unless it's perfectly silent, unless we're perfectly no thoughts in our mind. But in reality, meditation again is a journey. It's a you feel you were initially invalidating sin. Oh, with the comment. Oh, because the person before had commented about sin, about not doing as being a sin, right? That and again, that statement previous was also a grave misgeneralization about that sin, right? The sin is laziness or apathy, or the choice not to act when action is required or needed, in fact, to your detriment, right? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about that sin that the person mentioned earlier as well. But it's another form of, I've been seeing a lot of argument fallacies where people are throwing these arguments around where I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. It's not even a valid argument to come in and say, meditation is the sin of laziness. Ajna, please lay down or I'm going to put you outside. You can't be laying in my lap right now. Lay down. Lay down. Thank you. And again, that's why I like the lives, right? I'm grateful for the opportunity to use it as for the discussion, because it's important for us to clear away the misconceptions and the judgments, and the misconceptions that we have and that we've been given about meditation, especially when it's such a powerful tool. And again, not even meditation in its traditional sense. I'm just talking about mindfulness, about the ability to be present with your reality, with your inner and outer reality, the ability to increase our awareness of our reality, our inner and outer reality. And we begin to understand when we do that, we begin to understand those subtle differences in a way that becomes very profound. I often think of meditation like a pendulum. The practice is not to stop the pendulum and just hold it in the center. The practice is to pay attention to when the pendulum is pulled away and then simply invite it back. So I sit in meditation, for example, with this one. I sit in meditation here and I place my mudra in my lap and I simply release my breath. I release attachment and striving. I set the intention to release attachment and striving. Now, just setting my intention isn't going to just cause it to magically happen, right? It's not going to just like flip a switch and suddenly everything shuts off and it's dead silent in here. No, we sit because life still goes on. So we sit here and we set that intention. And then a distraction happens. And so that pendulum gets pulled off this way and we go, oh, I felt myself get pulled away. So I return to the intention. I release striving and attachment. And I wait. I open my space. And then a thought pops up and pulls the pendulum off this way. And I go, oh, there I went again. It's not a practice of, and this is how I used to do it. I used to, damn it. Shh. Damn it. Shh. I can't. Shh. It was not a release of striving and attachment. It was a battle within myself. I was creating this battle, this argument, this judgment about how wrong I was doing it and how I would never get it and how this is too hard and how I don't know how anybody can even do this. You got to have superpowers to be able to do this, right? All of the funny things that we tell ourselves when we get stuck in that place of judgment and that stuck in that place, in that misconception of striving, of having an attachment to the outcome of the practice. Yeah, sometimes you're going to sit in meditation and you're going to get these amazing experiences, whether psychedelic colors in your mind, right? Or complete silence within, or feelings like you're floating, or feelings like you're twisting and spinning. I have had some of the most amazing experiences in meditation, and it's why I keep doing it. Not entirely why, but it's also a side note of why, because it's a lot of fun. But we don't sit in meditation for the purpose of making myself as psychedelic. Maybe sometimes we do, maybe sometimes. Okay, sometimes I admit that I have done that on purpose. But the deeper practice of meditation is to sit with meditation and let meditation be whatever meditation is. I think of it like inviting an old friend in, a lifelong friend, or however long you've been friends with meditation. I invite meditation in, however meditation arrives that day. I invite meditation to sit at my table for however long meditation feels comfortable sitting there. And some days it's just a few moments. Some days I get hours. And does that mean I'm sitting still like this for hours? No, because meditation shows up so many different ways. Mindfulness shows up so many different ways for us every single day. The opportunities for mindfulness practice, for meditation, are available to us in nearly every single moment if we know how to recognize them, right? But that's part of being in our authenticity. To give meditation a personal new thought to you, Crystal. So, Crystal, I really love the psychology theory of internal family systems. It's a theory that's basically acknowledges the fact that we have different facets of self, and within ourselves we have these different facets exist for different purposes, right? The way I show up to lunch with my friends is going to be different than the way I show up to dinner with my family. The way I show up to the old folks home where my grandma's staying is different than the way that I show up with my kids at the park, right? So we have these different kind of facets of self, and internal family systems invites us to create kind of characters that represent each of these parts of ourselves. And when we do that, we then give ourselves the opportunity to approach these different parts of self as if they are others, right? So that we can sit and have a conversation, a discussion over things at the table. We can invite them to the table. We can offer them our love and compassion and acceptance, and we can see them for their authentic selves, right? The bully part of you that comes out when you feel pushed or cornered, that has developed to protect you. You may not like it because you may feel like you say nasty things or do nasty things. You're like, God, I hate to be in that position. I hate this part of me. But really, that part of you is doing something to protect you. Almost everything that we have developed throughout our lifetime is there for the purpose of growth and safety. Nice, Crystal. My son is very good at doing that. I am not so great at that. But I spend more time talking to my pirate ship. So for me, through internal family systems, I used internal family systems to create what I call my pirate ship. And it's actually a very, very powerful practice, because when we take internal family systems and transpose it over mindfulness, over this journey home to ourselves, this coming home to ourselves, we realize that in discovering all these facets, there is still the other self that is observing all of these facets. Hey, Dee. And for me, I call that my captain. And it wasn't until I combined internal family systems and the practices of mindfulness in the attempt to find my captain, because as I started discovering these facets, I went, wait a minute, who's in charge here? Who's really making the decisions? Are all of these facets of self that have been developed over the years just running my life willy-nilly? Because if I can observe them, then somehow they are not me, and I am different from them. I am separate from them. I am something else from them. Where is my captain? Where is the fucking captain? Because these guys are running amok. How many times do we feel like that trigger part of ourselves makes the bad decisions, does the stupid shit, says what they don't mean, and burns the damn bridge down? And we're like, man, I just wish you would sit down and what's the text abbreviation? STFU. Just sit down and STFU. Stop destroying the ship, right? You know that I think we've all experienced that part of ourselves at some point in our life that has just destroyed shit. And we sit there the next morning or the next day or whatever, and we just go, I cannot believe that you did that or said that. I cannot believe. And it's those moments that made me say, there's got to be somebody in charge here. There's got to be a captain in here. There's got to be somebody who knows how to drive this ship, who knows how to navigate better, who has a fucking compass. So we stop getting lost in the storm. And it was through mindfulness that I started to delineate the difference, differentiate between those facets of self, essentially ego manifestations, triggers, reactive characters that were built over time. And I started to be able to hear that. I almost said it was a voice, but it's not a voice. It is a stillness in between the sound of that reactive part of myself that's bitching about the person on the highway that just cut me off and is yelling about it over here and wants to flip the bird to them. There's a separation. And in that separation, I discovered my locus of control. I discovered my captain. I discovered the awareness of my inner and outer reality that suddenly gave me the ability to make conscious decisions, to respond instead of react. I found my response ability in mindfulness, in that combining the practice of internal family systems, of recognizing we have these different facets and different characters, separating those from self. There's actually a really beautiful meditation that if this is something you're interested in, I invite you to try the meditation where you simply sit. It can be done with the dhyana mudra as well. You sit with a mudra, or you sit just in practice. And anytime a thought arises, anytime a sensation arises, you simply acknowledge, I can perceive this, so it is not me. Right? We can do it, but with looking around the room. We look around the room, and obviously I can perceive my little Buddha statue over there. I know that's not me. I can perceive this plant. I know it's not me. I can perceive the computer. I know it's not me. But when we start to come inward and we go, I can perceive the breath, so it is not me. I am observing it, so it is not me. I can perceive the heartbeat. I am observing it, so it is not me. And when we do this practice, we find ourselves slipping, even sinking into that place of separation from between the striving and the action and the reactionary parts of self and ego, whatnot. And we start to find our center. It's one of my favorite practices. And for those of you who say you struggle with meditation, it is a very powerful practice for slipping you very quickly into meditation. And we can go over that in just a second again. Crystal, what are my thoughts on the phrase, it is what it is? I think it's a phrase that can be used in spirit of apathy, or in the spirit of acceptance, in the spirit of non-attachment, or in the spirit of being flippant. So the statement in and of itself has a lot more to do with the intention behind it. I use the statement, "It is what it is," as a reminder to not be attached to the outcome of a situation, to not be judgmental of the situation, to not be attached to my judgments and my fears of the situation, and to simply see it for what it is, an experience. You hear it around you, but you're not fond of it. Yeah, I've heard people use it as a, again, kind of like, well, there's nothing we can do. It is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. So let's not talk about it. Right. Or let's not do anything about it. Or let's just forget about it. And that breeds apathy. That speaks to apathy. And that's a very different use of that term. And also one that I also am not a fan of. So to review that meditation again really quickly, for those of you who feel like you struggle with meditation and struggle to slip into that place of silence or that place of separation between trigger and thought and stimuli and attachment to stimuli and striving, and to find that quiet space. So, my favorite way to do this practice, again, is to simply find yourself sitting somewhere. You can do this when you're out anywhere. So you can sit in your car and do this. You can do this at home. You can do this in bed. Find the farthest away. I like to start with the farthest away thing that I can see, right? So oftentimes that's the sky, that's the clouds, that's something in the far, far distance. Keep your eyes open, look around, and find yourself the farthest thing away. And you look at that thing and you say, I can observe, for me, it's the clouds. I can observe these clouds. So they are not me. And then I pick something closer. And for me, I've got these beautiful pine trees out here. I can observe these pine trees. And there's kitties. So they are not me. I can observe those cats. So they are not me. And they come closer and closer. I can observe my yoga mat. So I know it is not me. I can observe my phone here. So I know it is not me. I can observe this dog. So I know it is not me. I can observe this tea. So I know it is not me. I can observe these hands. So I know they are not me. And I invite you, when you do this practice, you can move quickly through the outside stuff. Not me, 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 not me. But when you start getting closer in, slow down. Look at the hands. Really look at the hands, the lines and the wrinkles and the creases. I can observe these hands. So they are not me. And invite that feeling of newness, of novelty, right? Look at your hands as if they are not you, because there is still some observer in there. These hands are not me. And then I close my eyes and I roll my eyes around behind my eyelids and I say, I can observe these eyes. So they are not me. Take a breath. I can observe this breath. So it is not me. And then I listen for my heartbeat. If I can't hear it, at the very least, I can feel it. I can observe this heartbeat. So it is not me. And within this newly opened space within you, having acknowledged that all of the things that you have yet to perceive are still not you, you may find yourself in this open space. And a thought arises, and you say, I can observe this thought, so it is not me. And each thought that arises, repeat, I can observe this thought, so it is not me. And in that space, it gets really juicy. It gets really juicy really quickly. And the same thing when a distraction, a voice, somebody calls your name, some phone rings, whatever it is, if you want to stay in meditation, I invite you again. I can observe that sound, so it is not me. My favorite actually is when I'm in that meditation and my son says my name, says, Mom. I tell myself, that is not me. In this moment, Mom is not me. Deborah is not me. None of these labels are me. I am not the labels. I am not the breath. I am not the body. I am not any of the things that I can perceive. Because if I can perceive them, they are separate from me. And when we sit with that game within ourselves, that practice within ourselves, well, I invite you to see. I invite you to use that to see. Thanks, Diana. I am on YouTube at Move with Change on YouTube. In fact, I'm live right there. Hi, YouTube. I do try to watch the comments on here, but I don't have. Oh, it says comments aren't supportive on this one. Darn it. Sorry, YouTube. I am trying to cultivate the YouTube channel over there. So I do ask that you guys please go follow me over on YouTube. Move, M-O-V-E with change. Move with change on YouTube. Same here on TikTok, move with change. Same on the web, big wide web, movewithchange.com. I post on the YouTube channel all replays from our Bhakti Bites classes and tiny yoga classes, and other snippets and things like that there. I'm cultivating that channel so I can also offer classes and bigger events on YouTube as well. So I always appreciate the support in that regard. Crystal, how do you separate the physical self from the mental self? I guess I want to know in what capacity. Thank you, Nikki, at Move with Change. In what capacity? Like, what are you talking about separating the physical self from the mental self? Are we talking about separating the mind, like that practice where we remind the mind that we are not the mind? Because in my experience, the mind is very much intertwined with the physical self. In fact, what did we talk about? My son and I were talking about this the other day, that the body, like what the body is like a ship, and the mind is the steering wheel itself, not the driver. We don't let the steering wheel drive the vehicle, right? But oftentimes we do. Oftentimes as humans, we let our driving, the brain, which is simply a tool like the steering wheel to get us places, to understand, to help us navigate, but it is not the navigator. It doesn't have the map. It doesn't have the compass. It doesn't have the wisdom to see the path ahead and to make wise decisions. It makes reactionary decisions in the present moment. We are not self-driving vehicles, sort of. The body can be a self-driving vehicle, and we operate through life relatively unconsciously, being, bumper carred by stimuli and events and triggers and all of these other things, and feeling basically, not having a locus of control, not having a navigator, not having a person behind the wheel, or a presence behind the wheel driving the vehicle intentionally. And that is what mindfulness does. You're trying to understand the why from the how. For me, that is the why, right? For me, that is the why, is because I know from experience that when I let the steering wheel drive the vehicle, we end up crashing. We end up getting hurt. We end up in situations that are not the best, and oftentimes not even for us. Like, we just end up on a totally different road, sideways in the ditch, But in my experience of cultivating mindfulness and building a better relationship with myself and finding that locus of control, finding that captain within through these various practices, it completely changes the way that I navigate through my life. Thank you again, Nikki. Yes, 10 a.m. Pacific time, Monday and Saturdays for Bhakti Bites. Tiny Yoga is at 10 a.m. on Fridays. And then I have subscriber only lives on Sunday and Friday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. Those are astrology lives where we talk about astrology, the transits for the week. We do a weekly forecast and we talk about natal charts on Friday night. This pup right here is a blue healer. Are you being totally, yeah. I just realized I've got the comments all big, so I can't really see the screen. And I was realizing he was flashing you guys. It's dogging real big right now. Pushy dog. Does it bring me more peace? Is that what I wanted to gain? Actually, so yes, it definitely brings me more peace. And I have to say that, you know, peace is such a personally interpreted word. What my peace looks like may be different than what your peace looks like, right? Um, but yes, it has definitely brought me peace, and it has brought me peace of mind as well. Again, there were many, many, many times on my path where I recognized the ways in which I was giving away my power, whether it was to a boss, to a partner, to my own thoughts, to my parents whose voices were still in my head as an adult, right? How many ways I give away my ability to control the situation, because in reality, the only thing I really, really have control over is myself. And I honestly was tired of being a victim. I was tired of feeling powerless. I was tired of feeling lost and scared and confused. So what I hoped to gain through mindfulness was peace of mind. And I found peace of soul as well as peace of mind. But I had to find that peace of mind first. I had to find the tools. I had to see the tools start to actually work in my life for me to commit myself to these practices. Good. I'm glad, Crystal. Diana, say it again. He's a blue healer. Yeah. Blue healer. I think they're also like the overarching breed is like Australian cattle dog, but there's also like long hair ones, and yeah, this guy's a blue healer. Oh, the time, 10 a.m. Pacific time is when I am live Mondays and Saturdays for Bhakti Bites. This class is here. And then Fridays for tiny yoga. That said, you guys, I'm just looking at the clock right now and I got kind of sidetracked with the conversation. We have our Sangha sessions. So if you are a member over at the Kaya Sangha, we have our in-house practice sessions happening at 11. So I have to pop off and send the reminder emails so everybody can get the Zoom link. If you are a member at Move with Change in the Kaya Sangha over at movewithchange.com, we have our live group practice sessions happening at 11 o'clock in less than 10 minutes. So I appreciate you too. Welcome, Crystal. I hope to see you again soon. If you would like to join Kaya Sangha and get access to twice weekly group coaching, practice sessions, as well as heavy discounts on everything that I offer, private sessions that I offer, as well as free access to all the workshops that I offer, you can join over at movewithchange.com. Again, that's the Kaya Sangha, CAYA, stands for Come As You Are, because it is a space where we invite you to show up authentically as you are. Thank you. Oh, Jen. Oh, it's Jen for subscribing. So when you subscribe, you get a free month over at Kaya Sangha. So, Jen, make sure that you message me in case you don't find that link there. There's a link that you should get when you subscribe that will give you the code to get a free month at Kaya Sangha. If you have any questions or any difficulty with that, just send me a message and I'll send you the code directly. And you join over at movewithchange.com. Thank you, Joshua. I hope you're having a wonderful day too. So we are going to go into our Sangha session. In our Sangha session, we are going to be talking this month about the Kundalini Kriya that we're doing. It's a 40-day Kundalini Kriya practice. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. I have a whole playlist on YouTube with all of the videos for it. They're also here in my content. If you have any questions about when I'm live or where to find me or whatnot, there is a schedule posted at the top of my content, and you can always send me a message here on TikTok, here on YouTube, or over at Move With Change or at movewithchange@gmail.com. I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful day. And my lovely Kaya Sangha members, I will see you in practice very shortly. Okay, bye. If it'll allow me. There we go.